It's 8 o'clock. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you so much for coming. It's so good to see you. My name is Corel Pinder, and I am the author of the May I Call You Queen and the host of the Royal Access podcast. We are here for night 3 of Dinner with Kings, Relationships Redefined. And we are here with the lovely Mr. Thompson, Harrison, as I call him. He's amazing. Y'all got to find out more about Harrison in a bit. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming. Before we get into our interview, and we don't take long, we like to get right into the meat of it. So those who are on time, you're right at the right place. Hey, Aralisa, good to see you. Hey, Dranisha. So I'm going to start off with a prayer, and then we're going to get into what we're doing tonight. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for everybody that is here. We thank you for Harrison. We thank you for this conversation we're about to have. Lord, we ask that you allow the Holy Spirit to take over, that none of the things that me or Harrison want to say are said, but only the words that you want us to say to your people. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the connectivity. We thank you for everything that is about to be said. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure text a friend, tell them it's about to be good. They don't want to miss this. Tell them get in the room. Send them the link real quick. Tell them, get in the room, get in the room. All right. So as you know, Dinner with Kings has been going on all week. This is our third night. We're in the middle of the row. And this is a very, very special night because Harrison and I were on a panel in January. I didn't even realize it was that long ago, but it was in January. The reason I know it was in January is because what happened after being on that panel. So everybody know that Harrison is the relationship guru. He's the expert. So when they told me to come on the panel, I was like, I see why they asked Harrison, but why they asked me? I mean, Harrison is the therapist. He's in a loving marriage. I'm a single chick. I've been single for 10 years, but sure, I will be on the relationship panel. So I was having imposter syndrome, but I went. I did the panel, but I think that I was really there for the question that you're getting tonight. The ladies there asked the question, and that is what formed the bond between Harrison and I. I was like, oh, Harrison, me and you gonna need to talk. We're gonna need to get together. We're gonna need to have conversations after that question. So we were on the panel and they said, Harrison, why do you feel that there are so many women who are saved, successful, and single? And I said, oh, I felt that day was coming for me because they just literally described who I was. And so I went from being a panelist to an attendee. I was like, okay, Harrison, answer the question. Like, I really want to hear what you have to say. And so it just was so insightful hearing Harrison's response that I went out and did a project. So ladies, if you ever want to think about doing this project, I did this. I went to male friends that were single and that were married. And I said, answer this question for me from a male point of view. And I said, why do you think that there are a lot of saved, successful, single women? And I said, also, tell me why you think I am. And I said, don't hold punches. Like, don't worry about my feelings. Just be real and tell me what it is. And I got some interesting responses. It helped me to be very introspective. One of them was think about going to therapy. I don't think they thought I was crazy. I think just therapy is a really good thing to do. So I did. I went to therapy. They told me to change up my priorities, change up where, what I do. And I would definitely say that it's been beneficial. I'm still not dating as yet, but I do feel like I'm making a lot of progress in terms of doing the work. Saying I want to be in a relationship, but not doing the work is what was going on. Like, just faith without works is, y'all know the rest, dead. And so after having that, it was so enlightening. Ever since then, I was like, I have to do a podcast episode about this. But I had to wait on the Holy Spirit of when was the perfect time. So when thinking about going on the 1-year anniversary of the podcast, we have been podcasting for a year. Every week I show up on the podcast. And we record an episode. And so we're recording 5 episodes this week. So we're recording them live, and these will be on the podcast during the month of July into August. And so that conversation just kind of changed my life. So if you're in the room tonight, I want you to know that sometimes when you're sitting in a conversation or something that you hear has the potential to change your life. Usually we're just waiting on someone to come into our life to change our life, or a new experience or a move. But literally, if you could hear a word and a perspective change. I was a panelist, and that one question from that host of why do you think this is, it caused me to do that project of asking different people, hearing their responses, and changing how I did life based on how people were seeing me, because sometimes we're not aware of some of the things that we're doing. So that's how we got here tonight. And so I always knew when I was doing this panel that Harrison had to be on it. I was like, Harrison has to be on it because we have to have this conversation. Everything else got to work around it. So if you are here tonight, this is the night to be here. So thank you. This conversation about to be lit. Harrison is about to bless your soul. Last night we had Dating with Purpose. For those who were here, thank you so much. It was really good. He talked about how getting to a point of healing, talked about how it's so important to intentionally date. He talked about the reasons why men are not in the space. Reasons why he wasn't in the space. And so it was really good. Like I said, that episode will be in the podcast. So definitely check it out. So, I like to check who in the room. I like to see who's in the room. I've been behind the scene of Harrison for a long time. Oh, Harrison, you got some friends here.
Oh, man.
So we gotta welcome our guests. If this is your first night, if it's your first night, let's those who've been here for a while. I know y'all been here for a little while. We coming to y'all, but we have to welcome the first night people. Catherine, are you saying first night? All right, welcome Catherine. Let's welcome her. Anybody else? Ashley, you made it, but I'm mad because everything came. You reach, Ashley, though. You reach. Don't worry about it. You made it the third night, but you reach. I appreciate you. So Catherine and Ashley, it's your first night. All right. Obviously, some other first nights, people coming late, they're not on time. First night. All right, first night. Hi, Dwaynisha. First night. We got 24 people in the room. All right, let's see. First night. Roxanne, first night. Oh, welcome, Roxanne. All right, second night. You've been rolling us for 2 nights. 2 nights. You came last night. And second night was ready. Lisa, second night. Y'all ready? Y'all know it was good. Steven. Oh, Steven, you was there before. Second night. Awesome. Our second night people are here. Misha, second. Welcome. Second night. Get it right. Second night, get it right. That's right, Sinead, second night. Now, where my crew who've been rolling with me from Monday? Where my crew? 3 nights, three rocks. Don't forget to click 3 rocks. All panelists and attendees. Third night. They was ready. They was like, third night, gotta get it right. Third night. Mikkel want a gift. We give away gifts, guys. So we're giving away gifts at the end. Make sure to stay until the end. We give away gifts. Mikkel won a gift last night, and so did Jasmine. I think Jasmine won a gift right last night too. Awesome. I am so glad. So we're going to do a giveaway at the end. And at the end of the week, I'm going to do a giveaway. We do a course under May I Call You Queen. It's called a May I Call You Queen course. And the next enrollment is September 30th. And that is a $500 course. It's 7 weeks. We do 2 one-on-ones. It's a very small, intimate community. And so we're going to do a giveaway for that at the end of the week. So stay tuned. Be here on Friday to make sure to hear about that giveaway. And if you want to know more about that, you could go on CorelPinder.com and go to May I Call You Queen course, CorelPinder.com. Now, we got some guys in the room. Where are guys? We got to show some love to the guys. We're the guys in the room. We got to shout out the guys who came out. Let me see you. Where are the guys in the room? I know we have some guys. I saw some. All right, say we here, we in here. Steven, that's right. I know I saw you earlier. Steven said we here. All right, and the last roll call. All right, Levante, for the brothers, represent. The last roll call that we want to do is, I need to know the relationship status we got on here. This is Relationship Redefined. They tell me I missed a status last night. My bad. I must be salty because I missed the dating one. So I ain't gonna miss you all tonight. I miss the people who dated. Okay. So first up, a single mingle group. Single and ready to mingle. We're the single and ready to mingle. Single and ready to mingle. That's right. We got some. Fernand. I can't see the name. Fernand Shay. Okay. Single and ready to mingle. Oh, no, you was trying to give away your cousin. I was trying to give him away. Wanted to see. Oh yeah, I was pimping my cousin out last night, Harrison. This one is married. I gotta let y'all know from the start when we do these interviews, he's a married man, off limits. No giving no one away tonight. Single and ready to mingle. Awesome. Single. We're the dating crew. Any dating crew tonight? I ain't leaving you out tonight. Any dating crew? We're the dating. Any dating? Any engaged? Ashley saying me, you dating a girl. Steven dating. All right, we got some dates. See, I was leaving them out last night. All right, engaged. Any engaged people? They put a ring on it yet? And then our married folks. Where the married folks? We have some married folks in there hanging out with us. Actually, you engaged? I didn't know that. Got a ring on it, married. Way to go. Because I've been there 3 nights in a row. She's like, every night. I have some married friends who say, I come in a kingdom marriage. Come to all. It's good. Come to all. Got a ring on, married. All right. Awesome. All right, guys. So we are going to get into our interview with Harrison. So I want to tell you, no man, that child was so late in sending. Oh, got it. All right, so I want to tell you a little bit, some fun facts about Harrison. But before I get into my fun facts, Harrison, I always ask people to tell the story of how we met. Now, I told the story about us on that panel earlier this year. Is that the first time we met? If it is,
I think probably the first time we were that close, maybe it probably wasn't the first time we met because we've seen each other in passing, but maybe that was like the first kind of formalish one.
True. So then I already told that story.
Yeah.
But yes, that is darn it. But you're right. It was kind of passing ships, but then yeah, that was probably the most formal one. So I took the story. Okay, I shared my link with a friend just now, so you may get 2 sets of responses from me. Didn't want to. Okay, cool. No problem. All right, so you heard the story of how Harrison and I met. We were on a panel earlier this year for relationships. Spun the conversation that you are about to hear tonight, and even in more depth. You're about to hear it. All right, so some fun facts about Harrison. He loves science and space. Really?
Nerd.
So he was a nerd in school. He's a real nerd, y'all. He loved anime. Did I say that correctly?
You did. I'm a freak.
Science and space and anime. Ooh, he read. Ooh, them losing school. Ooh, the gym is therapy outside of therapy. He was a mix of both. You be in the gym too. Okay. Yeah, the gym is his therapy outside of therapy. So you're a therapist. Do you have a therapist?
Yes, I do. If I did not, I would not be able to be providing therapy for people in the way that I do. That's just the bottom line.
Got it. See, therapy and for crazy people, go to therapy. I can find a way to pimp you out. Use the services. Okay. He reads his Bible. He's read his Bible every day for 2 years straight. That's awesome. And then the last one is he hates shorts that go below the knee. Hot boy summer for Harrison.
Let's go. Squats all day.
Squats. Awesome. They'll just say me too. All right. So Harrison, there was a verse that I had in the questions. It was Proverbs 18 and 22. It said, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. And I don't know. I feel like I'm a good thing. If these women are in the chat, if you feel like you're a good thing, just type in the chat. You feel like you're a good thing. I feel like I'm a good thing, Harrison. I feel like I'm a good thing. So why we're going to dive in right into it from the very first question. I feel like I'm a good thing. People are in the chat are typing, saying that they're a good thing. So why do you think that so many women that are seemingly a good thing, they're saved, successful, yet they're single?
Yeah.
What's wrong with being single? But
I mean, I think it's one of those things that we can't ignore the elephant in the room. It's like we're doing everything that we're supposed to be doing. Right? We're following the word as best as we possibly can. We're trying our best to live a life that is in alignment with our principles. And it just seems like maybe there's this little element missing. And I think when we look historically at Christianity, especially in this country, we have separated femininity from that. We have almost made femininity in its true essence seem like it is a rebellion to being a good Christian woman. We teach good Christian women to be nice. We teach them to be quiet. We teach them to be overly polite, overly accommodating. And unfortunately, those things are not going to translate into relationship success. And so you are saved and sanctified and you got a relationship with God, but you don't know the first thing about developing a relationship with men because there's been a generation of women that have also become separated from their sexuality. And I think what happens is we have to find a way to allow Christian women to begin embracing in a non-judgmental way the truth about their sexuality and femininity as being okay, right? I feel like women sometimes even have an internalized to the point where they feel like if they're being sexy or they decide to love themselves a little bit, that they're being wrong, that they're somehow going to take themselves out of the dating game and men are going to frown upon them. But the truth is, we have to get back to a place of loving ourselves in the way that God has designed us, not in the way that man is talking about being appropriate or not being appropriate. Because the systems that we created today under religion has largely been created by the same people that are criticizing women today. And so we know that we have to get back to a place where we draw into the creation, that we were created as sexual beings. And as a part of that sexual being, we have to learn to tap into that attraction, to tap into that energy, for women to tap into that femininity so that results can become more achievable when it comes to the dating game.
Got it. Okay, so And I'm hearing you. So, but I want you to break it down for me because you know, like you say, when we grow up Christian, we have these things like sexuality. Okay, you're trying to tell me to be sexual, femininity. Right. Practically, like, what does that look like? A woman who is exuding femininity or who is okay or in touch with her sexuality without giving off like she wants to have sex. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that can be best observed in her vulnerability, right? A woman's ability to be vulnerable is directly related to her femininity and her sexuality. Sexuality, we have demonized that as being this, almost like this sexual demon, right? Yeah. Like everything is all about sex and intercourse, but sexuality is so much more than that, right? If sex was a cheesecake, it would literally just be the cherry. There's a whole other thing that's happening other than just the cherry on the top. There's layers to this thing. Sexuality is your ability to embrace the sensations in your body, that being horny is okay, right? That being attracted to people is okay, that wanting to have certain preferences are okay, right? That's sexuality. Sexuality is being able to lean into your femininity, not being ashamed of your beauty or making it seem like you're arrogant, but leaning into these things is okay. When you can take care of yourself, when you can glam up, when you can get your nails done, when you can get your hair done, all of these things represent a woman's ability to tap into that feminine nature that is already inside of her. I think we spend so much time trying to create the ideal version of who we are. We stop trying to discover who we were created to be, right? Because creation implies that we already know what we're doing.
Did he go out for you guys too?
To look like. But when it comes to discovery,
y'all can hear me?
All about who we are.
If you can hear me, because I lost it. Oh, it's me. Okay.
You good?
Yeah, I good.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
So so you said the femininity. Yeah. That we've lost that element of femininity and being in touch with our femininity. And so what that looks like sometimes is being vulnerable. So, and then like you said, the way that you portray yourself. So you think so one of the things may be that you're not portraying yourself as feminine, or you're not glamming up, or you're not seeming vulnerable, or it could be either or.
Yeah, I think when we think about feminine, we automatically assume that is the physical beauty. But femininity is just that, I guess it's that security, that trust in oneself to be who they need to be in any given moment, to allow themselves to have feelings without judging these feelings as being wrong or inappropriate, by allowing yourself to hurt if you're hurt, by allowing yourself to show interest if you have it, without worrying about the result of these things, staying in that experience, which we were talking about before everything kind of started.
Oh, I feel you. So you actually said that's tough. Yeah, it is. And so it's the awareness of, like you said, staying in the moment, being okay with your feelings, being okay to be hurt, being okay to be in the moment and not, so another thing that I think we've talked about this before, you're always trying to plan out the next moment or plan out how things can go instead of living and allowing things to happen. You're trying to control.
Yes. So the majority of women are like constantly trying to analyze whether this guy in front of you is worthy of the next level of your life. You know what I mean?
Don't waste my time. Is it you or go?
Yeah. And it's like, when do you ever get the opportunity to just stay in that experience, right? Just enjoy that conversation for what it is and allow chemistry to organically carry that situation further if that's where it's going to go. We're so busy trying to create, again, what we want to have happen. We're not allowing ourselves to discover what is already in us.
So I think sometimes, you can tell me if you agree or disagree with this, Harrison. I think sometimes the women who are successful and saved and single may fall in two categories. Either the women who are not opening up, are afraid to open up, and are just not dating anyone. And then the ones who really, really want to be in something, so they keep ending up with people who are not on their level. Because I want to have something so bad. Do you agree or disagree, or are there some other elements that I may be missing?
No, I think it's true, because our human brain only has the capacity to internalize about 3 losses, right? And if you go beyond 3 losses, your brain starts to say, maybe it's not what you're doing. Maybe it's who you are that's the problem. See, it's easy to protect your self-worth and your self-esteem when you say what I'm doing is wrong. But when you internalize it as who I am is now wrong, that becomes a difficult thing. And see, dating and relationships are not about trying to get things right. It's about giving yourself an experience and then asking yourself the question if you enjoyed that experience or not. If you did, have more of it. If you didn't, let it go. But here it is, we're kind of like pre-dating, trying to get it right before we start anything because we fear failing, because we don't want to be labeled as someone who just can't get it right.
Woo! So what you're saying is that sometimes us who fall in the successful category, we're not even relaxed enough because we're so results driven.
Right.
That either if this works, then it's a success. Boom.
Right.
But if it doesn't, it's a failure. And so I'm putting way more pressure on this interaction instead of experiencing this reaction, this moment, and then even deciding. Like, I think sometimes, so that's why we fall in those categories. It's either someone who's like, I'm trying to make this work, I'm trying to control it. No, use garbage, let me move on. Or I'm trying to make this work, this garbage, but I gotta keep going because I want to think I failed. So let me stay right here in this garbage.
Exactly. It's like, who wants to be labeled as the person that constantly fails or the person who constantly gets things wrong? We're not going to want to take that risk. You know what I mean? I'm not moving until I can be 100% confident that this is going to work out. If it can't work out in my mind, and if I can't get these reassurances, I ain't doing it.
Yo, you right. Yeah. I told y'all coming to get mind blown. It's worse for us as women. Yes. It's true. I don't know. Do you find that it's the same concept with, say, successful men, or do you feel like, no, they're good, they find people?
Oh no, women definitely got to work uphill with this because, you know, we already label women kind of way, you know. It's like there's this consciousness that a woman doesn't have the ability to get it wrong and maintain her purity. You know, a guy could get it wrong as much as he wants because no one ever looks at the guy as being the one that has to get ready. Every seminar we talk about getting women ready. Every seminar we talking to girlfriends about how to get wife energy. And it's like, what are we doing with the husbands, right? And we're expecting these same men who we don't work on, who don't have an interest in accountability, to then automatically know how to find a wife. That ain't gonna happen. The problem is not always in what the women aren't doing. Okay. Sometimes the reality is way bigger than we sometimes are able to see. And women got to get back to this place in recognizing it's not always about your failure, right? You need to go out there. You need to experience these men. You need to be able to say no. You need to be able to reject these things because that's how you find it, right? It's not about praying for it and then trusting that God is going to give you the ability to just see it when you see it. You got to put yourself out there in these experiences, not be afraid to get it wrong because you know you're probably already going to get it right.
That's good. That's good. So Harrison, so for the ones who want to date these projects, these potential, how do you know if it's someone who just needs encouragement and support, or sweetie, that's a project. That's just potential. That's a project. How do you know?
The thing we got to be mindful of, right, Carell, when it comes to our potential, you got to realize everybody has an abundance of it. Okay. We are born with an abundance of potential. So sure, anybody can be a millionaire. Anybody can be successful. Anybody can be the next prime minister, the next CEO. Sure. But look at the people that are actually doing it though. Potential means nothing until you are able to realize that potential for yourself. Okay. And this is the challenge that a lot of women have because y'all are blessed. Some may even say cursed with the gift of insight. You see things 10 steps ahead sometimes, and you're bringing information back from a very future situation to the current situation. And it can be very frustrating when you don't see that man making those small changes that you think are very simple. And so you got to realize, sure, his potential is cool and his potential is great, but the reality exists only at his point of awareness. You cannot love that man into discovering his potential. The only way that man is going to find his potential is by aligning himself with God's purpose for his life. If he is not doing that and demonstrating that, leave him alone.
Lord Harrison is setting you all free tonight. He's setting you all free. LaDorny say potential with a capital P. You need to go. So yeah, I was listening to Jay Shetty the other day, and it was expectations you need to stop having in relationships. And one of them related to what you said just now. Mm-hmm. They said that when you get in relationships, a lot of times you're pushing this person to the potential that you see in them. And he said that is what's causing friction in the relationship, because you can encourage them to the potential that they want to reach. But the reason that friction is because you are trying to encourage them to the potential that you want them to reach. that you want them to have. They need to, like you said, if he hasn't communicated, this is where I see myself going, and this is what I'm doing to get there, then you got to go. If you say, yeah, like you say, everybody got CEO potential.
Everybody got CEO potential. Everybody's the biggest boss. Everybody is the hottest, the coolest, the most this and that. But who really achieving it, Corel, right?
And are you seeing doing the steps? Because they can still have that good talk, Harrison. They can still say that, you know, I have these plans. But what evidence have you seen?
Right.
Don't miss your questions. Make sure to put your questions in the Q&A, because after I finish the dialogue, I get to the questions that are in the Q&A. We did that last night. Okay, so the next one is, okay, if these are men that are worth encouraging, how do you stop what I was saying just now in terms of how do you learn how to stop trying to force your, you know, what you think potential is to them, to just, you know, relax and be like, okay, I have to take it for what it is. How do you?
So what I'm thinking of is maybe we have to change the psyche from being responsible for someone into being responsible to someone, right? When you think about the change in words from for to to, when you're being responsible for someone, it means that you now are the one responsible for that person's growth, that you have to be the motivator for them to do what they say they want to do. You got to call them and remind them that they should get up, that they should be ambitious, that they should seek God, that they should read their Bible. It becomes more stressful for you because now your work is based on their results. And you can't really allow yourself to get into that dangerous space because people are free to make their own choices, regardless of the love we give them, regardless of the help we're giving them too. But when you are responsible to someone, right? It means you recognize the only thing I can do is live my life in a certain way and hope that they get motivated. But it's not a guarantee. When you're responsible to them, your boundaries are protecting you from yourself. Your boundaries are not allowing you to overgive. You don't take responsibility for someone when they get hurt by your boundaries, because hurt is not harm, right? We got to make sure we understand that as well.
Right.
And your boundaries are designed to also keep people in alignment with what your principles are for your life. If you continue to compromise on what it is you're supposed to be doing, you make yourself powerless to help that person get to where they even want to go.
So you have to change it from for to to.
Yeah. When you think about trying to be responsible for someone, it's a 24/7 job. It's like it takes all of the focus off of you and it places it on someone. And this is so risky for women because it's very easy for a woman to get lost in her relationship. You know, when you think about a basketball court, right, Corel? Men tend to play the perimeter, but women tend to identify with half court. It becomes easy for this man to be assimilated into your identity now, where you feel like you have to be responsible for him. And again, it comes back to that toxic religious dogma where it's like, we think the helpmate is about doing the work for him. No, you are supposed to be helping that man do something that's already in motion.
Right.
You're not starting the motion. You're helping him do something already in motion. That's being responsible too. But being responsible for is doing the work for him, right?
Help something that's already in motion. That's a two. So ladies, we want to be two, not four. We want to be two, not four. Okay, awesome. All right, so the next thing that I wanted to ask is that, do you think men are turned off by women who are seemingly more spiritually mature? And do you think a man should be okay with dating a woman who's more spiritually mature?
I think there's confusion. I think men get turned off by very religious women.
Talk about it. Be real, Harrison. I want to hear you.
Yeah, I mean, women who are very versed in the culture of church, right? Getting ready on Saturday night for Sunday morning and not allowing themselves to have deep, meaningful conversations, can't talk about the fact that they attracted, or can't talk about the fact that they maybe used to struggle with some things, all caught up in the clouds about who they're trying to be and not talking about who they actually are. That's the difference between religion and spirituality. Now, a woman who is mature in her spirit, those conversations go so deep, Corel. It goes way beyond just the trying to be this in work and trying to be understood. It's conversations about life, the deeper meaning of what purpose really is and how these things can sometimes change based on our experiences. That is a woman who is mature in her spirit. A woman who's mature in her spirit has the vulnerability enough to remain present even in uncomfortable emotions, because it's those uncomfortable emotions that actually show you the truth about who you are. And men are attracted to that. Men don't necessarily want versions of perfection. We want something that is real, something that is trustworthy, something that we can look into and see ourselves reflected back in. And that one thing is called humanity. And you find that a lot of religious women don't know how to be human. They think that they are above reproach, and they think that there's certain things that that don't happen to them that happen to other people. It's almost like a moral high.
Above high ground. So like if you come off judgmental.
Right. You come off very judgmental. You come off like there's no room to get it wrong. There's no room for any sinful nature. Like there's no way I'm coming down to your level to compromise my spirituality. But then we got to think about the life of Christ, the most spiritual person to have ever walked the face of this earth, and spend the majority of his time with people who are yet still in sin. So why is it that we find it so difficult to be around other people? It's because we are judging them based on our own sense of morality, not what morality actually is. And that is the big problem with religious women versus women who are very spiritual.
Got it. So being more vulnerable, being open to not being so judgmental, being open to someone. And so you think that it's fine that if the couple is not on the same wavelength spiritually, that shouldn't, in your opinion, it shouldn't be a deal breaker.
No, man. I feel like you should be a spiritually mature woman enough to know the Bible verses and to also say, by Harrison, today I upset, right? It's like you should be able to know that you are blessed, saved, and sanctified, but that you should also be very human and real about the struggles that you're going through, and know that it's okay if you cry. You could cry and still love God. You can be angry and still love God. You can be horny as hell and still love God. Like, why is it that it always has to be one or the other?
And I'm not saying it has to be, but I'm saying, like, say you are, but he's not as spiritually mature. Like, he's not, like, you talking about, like, when they were talking about in Romans, and he like, Romans, you think, like, it's fine as long as he has a relationship with God.
Yeah. Now this is a different element. If that man himself is not spiritually mature, he may be threatened by the depth of your maturity. Because see, what happens a lot of times is when a person is mature, they are able to include themselves in a lot of their worldviews. But a person who is very immature, they look at their worldviews as separate and apart from themselves. So they talk about things, but they never include themselves in things. They know how to talk about what faith is. They know how to talk about what right and wrong is, but they don't know how to include themselves in these conversations. And how can you go deep with a person if they haven't achieved that depth within themselves?
Okay, so what you're saying is it's not even just spiritual maturity. It's even that emotional maturity, or maturity in general, of the understanding of who you are as a person. And so it doesn't necessarily, are they as well versed in the Bible, but are they mature enough to talk about their faith? Not do they know all the books, but are they mature enough to talk about and place themselves in that aspect, is what you're saying.
Exactly, because that conversation is going to carry you to some very vulnerable places. And if you don't trust in who you are, again, you're going to try to be something that you're not. You're going to try to present the version of yourself that you think is most appropriate instead of just presenting who you are, right? And again, caught up in your mind, thinking about what you need to say instead of connected to your heart and living what you're actually saying. There's a big, big difference. You cannot have passion in conversation, and you cannot have passion in relationships until you have knowledge of who you are. Because that knowledge of who you are is what connects you to the basic human experiences, that we're all human beings. We're humans being sad, human being angry, humans being whatever. But that human being, you cannot achieve that without a level of vulnerability and acceptance of your true human nature. And that's the fact that we're all fallible. And if you find that a person cannot connect to that fallibility within themselves, they are not spiritually mature.
Got it. And so therefore, that you don't need to go down that road if you notice that. But I think sometimes it gets so scary, like you said, that thing you said earlier of failing, that you know that this person is not on that level. You know that person is not able to open up on that level, but you continue down that road anyway.
That's called settling. It's like you already give them the test. They already failed it, but because you like how they look, you can pass them on through anyway.
You can pass them. So how do you get to that point? How do you get to that? And I'm not saying to wait on this person to get to that point, but I'm just asking, how does someone get to that point of spiritual maturity, of understanding who I am, and not just talking about faith, but being able to put myself in those situations, being vulnerable and mature to have those emotional and spiritual conversations?
I wish it was like some big kind of secret to reveal, but it's more so something simple, and that's just the principle of acceptance. Without acceptance, we think we have more control than we do over things we actually don't. Right? If we think we have control, Corel, we are less likely to go out into the world and explore. We are less likely to go out into the world and really do meaningful work because we think we got it all under control.
Right.
And see, if you really study the Bible and you understand the origins of our spirituality, you realize the only thing that we deserve in life is truly death from a spiritual perspective. So if I know that I don't have the power to correct these things in myself, I can now place them in the hands of someone that does have the power. That places me in search. That gets me to asking the right kinds of questions. Instead of trying to speak from pride, I get to speak from my heart. I get to speak from an acceptance of who I am. And that acceptance of who I am allows me to seek things I need to seek.
Understood. That's good. That's good. So the next question that I have is, do you think that women miss out on good men because they look for success instead of a good character? If so, what do you think? For me, when I was in my 20s, I can look back at my relationships and realize that I was trying to date the person who was successful. I was trying to date the person who was climbing that corporate ladder, got on that suit, who was doing what they had to do. And look, it was a good look. In my 20s, right. It was a good look. And in my 30s, I'm like, you know what? I just need someone who loves the Lord. I need someone who has some good character. I think you want that swag, you want that little thug. It's like somebody who has good character, and Paul is like, no, he's stale, he's too soft. Do you think that sometimes we miss out on good people that you could date because you're chasing success or that look of success instead of somebody with a good character and a love for God?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about finding someone who is successful, they don't threaten who you are because you don't necessarily have to worry about them anymore. So you're free to kind of think about yourself in a very idealistic way. But when a person isn't successful, it forces you to really do some soul searching. Are you really a Christian person? Are you really patient? Are you really as a kind of a person as you say that you are? And see, that I think is what is so threatening, because when a person isn't successful, it actually reveals more about who we really are and what we are actually willing to work on and what we are willing to tolerate.
So why don't we see it if the person, why wouldn't I see it like I'm not patient or I'm not, if the person isn't successful? Yeah, bring it down. Why would I see it?
It's almost like buying a home that's already built instead of actually building your home, right? When the home is actually built, you're thinking in the back of your head, I don't have to worry about contractors. I don't have to worry about people teething my materials. The house is already built. I just got to pay for it and move it, right? It doesn't threaten, I guess it doesn't challenge you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable about where you are in life.
It doesn't challenge you in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable about where you are in life.
Yeah, but see, if you're talking about building a home now,
right?
What kind of resilience does that take? Do you have fortitude to deal with that? How are you going to deal with setbacks? What's going to happen when the weather isn't working according to plan, or you realize that they miscalculated the blueprints? It's like, that's a lot of things to have to deal with. Do you think you're the kind of person that can take that? And see, so success is, I'm not going to say it's a bad thing.
Right.
But you got to just be so careful, because success sometimes is just easy street. It allows us to believe that we are who we think we are. And that may be one of the greatest deceptions of all time. Now, the other thing on the flip side of that, Corel, just because a person is successful doesn't mean they know how to love you.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And I think sometimes we believe that because success happens in one area, that should just translate into another area automatically. But many women will tell you that that just does not happen. I know a lot of women that are in relationships where a man is making so much money, but ask these women if they got time with him. Ask these women if they feel more than just an object of desire. The answer is no. And I think sometimes we confuse the acknowledgement of love to be the acknowledgement of knowledge. But these two things operate independently. Just because you identify something, it doesn't mean that the knowledge is going to reveal itself at the same time. That still takes work. And successful people are sometimes less likely to do that work because in their mind, they believe they've already arrived.
Right, because they've achieved it in this area. They feel like I've achieved it in every area. So I'm not willing to do the work, the emotional work, the mental work. I'm not willing to do the work that's going to make me more kind, more loving. I'm not willing to do the work that's going to build my character. Most people, not everybody who's successful, but most of success, they're not willing to do the work in the other areas because success means I'm successful in all of those other areas. And I think, like you say too, and I think one of the things that can sometimes happen is you go from the worldly success and you
Right.
can go to the church, and now you're trying to have the godly success. It's just moved. It's like you've been deceived and it's just moved. Like you're still looking for success instead of what it is that God says is best for you that's going to help you to grow.
Exactly.
Like you not want to put yourself in that uncomfortable position.
That is why the word says that we have to die to ourselves every day. Because of our reckless ambition, Corel, we will continue to add these things into our life, thinking that we're getting closer to what God has called us to be. But we got to ask, are we getting closer to that or further away? Right? We think we can buy our way into people's lives and just buy our way out of forgiveness. And these just aren't things that are true. And unfortunately, this is what patriarchy is built upon, right? We think that just because we as men have money and power and status, that means we still don't have to do the work of learning our partner's love language, learning how to change our tone and approach, learning that there is more to a relationship than just paying bills and keeping the lights on, that there's time, there's emotional commitment, there's environment. There's so many different things that goes into maintaining a healthy relationship. And this is why I think we have such a disparity now between men and women.
While you're on that point, it's bringing me to my next thing of, like you said, women who are saved, successful and single in the church, they're working an uphill battle. And that the men, there are very few men in the church who are single, saved, and successful. Do you think that sometimes they take advantage of being those men in the church? I was listening to a panel the other day of guys, and they were like, "Yes, it's limited. You know, we rare. We's the prize. It's a little bit of us now. You all need to appreciate us now. There are plenty of us out there, you know, doing right, doing our thing." And it's like, I feel like you taking a little too excited about that. Like you here really feel like you got to work. So along those lines of what you was just saying, like, do you feel that sometimes they take advantage of? What would your advice be to them?
I ain't gonna lie, Corel. If I was a young man still single, being who I am today,
you'd have been on Harrison.
Yes, I would have been the youth pastor who everybody want to come to. Because I realized the power I have, and I realized, I just being honest, I realized, like, look here, I have an advantage here. I am going to use this. You know what I mean? I am going to use this, but I don't think it's just church.
Okay.
I think men realize when, you know, they're probably a decent catch in their department. I think men realize when they're a decent catch in their organization. And I think men realize when they're a decent catch at church. And I'd be lying to you if I said men didn't realize that women are looking for this type of thing. But it gets to the point where we learn how to present that well and not actually be it. You know, it's like we want the cheap Chinese knockoff. Yeah, it's like we learn how to present that instead of actually being it because it's cheap. It's the knockoff version that costs $25 as opposed to $600, right? It's like we learn how to posture vulnerability. We learn how to posture sincerity. We learn how to posture emotional maturity. We quote the scripture and we say everything we need to say to make you feel comfortable enough to give us that vulnerability, to give us that trust. But this is why women need to use time to their advantage, because any man who is lying eventually is going to show holes and cracks in his armor. You have to be whole enough as a woman to not need that man in the first place so that you can give that situation enough time to reveal to you the things it needs to show you.
You need some time. And so I think that, and then that's when the problem comes, because either you have the women who have been waiting for a long time, they keep telling people bye because you didn't live up to the success, or you have the people who keep trying to make it work with somebody who's a project because you don't want to be friends first. You don't want to give it that time because you feel like my clock is going. But as you said, you can only hold up that facade for so long. So you have to be willing to give it time.
And men know when women are hungry. We know.
You're trying to play like you're trying.
Yeah, you trying to play like you hard. You trying to play like you ain't need no man. It's like, no, 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 no. You texting me at 11 o'clock for a reason, right? You checking up on me for a reason. You ain't asking if I come into youth group or if I showing up on Sunday because you care about the faith.
You do the Bible reading.
No, no, no. You trying to get information to see what's going on. You know?
And they know.
They know.
They know. They know. They know. And so, like you said, to the men, you can only pretend for so long. But you say for the women, wait it out. But to the men, your message is to them of be the real, authentic thing. Because see, you could have been out here on these streets, but you're retired from the streets. Why did you decide to say, you know what? I could be out on here and I could be out there flossing.
Right.
Because
that would have been the biggest problem. That would have been the biggest problem, Corral. Go ahead.
But so why did you retire? Why did you say I give it on the streets?
I said to myself, if I allowed myself to nurture these experiences, it would be near impossible for me to look at commitment in a positive light. It's like, if I'm in the wholesale industry of cows, why go into the store to buy milk? That just don't make sense to me, right? Women over here talking about commitment and settling down and want these long-term engagements, but I'm over here getting everything I want without needing all of that because of a little bit of status and name, right? It's like, we have to recognize that for every woman that's talking about standards and morality and doing the right thing, there's other women out there that are giving men these things without requiring anything of them first.
True.
See, so that's the responsibility on the women's part. As men, we need to begin policing our friends, our family, and our brethren. Because I think we contribute to these types of cultures in very insignificant ways in our mind by sharing memes and sharing stories in chat groups or talking about this one and talking about that one, but we can't expect women to change this. Men have to change this because we are the ones who created this culture in the first place.
Right.
And so we have to begin holding our brothers accountable because that's our brothers out there. That's our cousins out there. These are our schoolmates out there that are perpetuating this type of thing. And we can't continue to reward people with things that they have not earned and deserved just because you're hungry for something. That's the bottom line. Mm-hmm. We have to be willing to go through seasons of loneliness if it means upholding our standard. And I think that's something I would have said on that panel a time ago, Corral, because we get so caught up in the loneliness. We're so tired of feeling that. We say, whoever next come, that's who get it, And unfortunately, that's the hungry part that men prey on. That's the thing that men tend to exploit. And as women, you got to be so very cautious of that because even when you think you're not giving that off, maybe you are.
How do you know? How do you know if you're giving off the hungry vibe?
Well, you got to be honest with yourself and say, boy, look here, I'm starving for a man. I mean, that's as baseline as it can get. If you know you are in a place where you are tired of being lonely, not to say that that's a bad thing, but you need to recognize there may be elements that I'm giving off to these men that may send the signal that I'm desperate. Yes. So you got to be able to manage that so that you don't give this impression that you need something.
So how do you find the balance? And someone asked this the other night, and I want to ask you, how do you find the balance of not appearing desperate, but not appearing as if I don't want to be in a relationship?
Yeah.
How do you give that vibe?
The power of now. The only thing that is real about our existence is right now. The past is just previous nows that we can no longer get back. The future is just nows that we hope to one day have. When you are living in the now, Corral, all of the information you need will be present. It's not about preparation, it's about readiness, a readiness to respond to what is happening real time in this moment, right? It's like when you get caught up in anxiously thinking about the future, right? That's where control starts to come in. That's when you're starting to kind of move conversations at a much faster pace than they are organically happening. And men feed on that. They're like, oh boy, this gal, she look like she hungry. I need to hurry up feed her. And then it's like the past is filled with resentment. I just don't want to be hurt again, man. I've been through so much struggle. So the guy says, oh, she need to heal it. Man, Empress, man, I'll never hurt you, I don't know, your ex-boyfriend was a goon, man. He can't look at you and see you's the prettiest thing walking. I'll never, ever make you. And it's like, once we're in the past and in the future, we are giving out information prematurely to men that don't deserve that.
You better take that to the bank. Don't live in the past and don't live in the future. When you're in the future, you can be anxious, you can be trying to control. You live in the past, you can be depressed. And
yeah,
like
but
you
see,
said,
when you're in the now, you're responding in real time to what you're seeing, right? You're here, you're anchored, you're in control, but you're vulnerable at the same time. You're
right.
not allowing yourself to run off with your emotionality, but then you're not afraid of experiencing emotions. That type of confidence is going to be the thing that allows you to make the decisions you need to make.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Oh, powerful, powerful. All right. Okay. So, there are some men who see women who are saved, successful, and they may be intimidated. What
Yeah.
is your, and I know that's what I didn't want when I was asking people that question, because that tends to be the answer that just people use as the scapegoat. Oh, men are just intimidated by you. That's not getting to the meat of the problem. That's not every man. But there are some men. So what is your advice to men who see kind of women who are, successful or blah, 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 and they're intimidated? What's your advice?
If you see that woman got her life in order, she doing things with her life, and you's a jokey dude, leave that woman alone. Don't interrupt her life. Don't just look for no experience or no conquest because you wonder what that mango tastes like or you wonder what that experience is like. No, let that woman do what she needs to do, right? I think if you find that you are intimidated with a woman's success, that means that you are not successful enough in your own right to feel secure about what you're doing. You know what I mean? You got to be so very careful about that. And I think sometimes men end up associating so much success with masculinity. And that's just because it's a version of success that we want for ourselves.
Right.
We see women that are now CEOs, starting their own companies, starting projects. And it's like, we look at women and say, man, that should be me.
Right.
So who am I to come up to this woman talking about, I want to take on a date or I want to be a provider? It's almost like I feel like I got to compete with her now.
Right.
Dumb yourself down. It's just a question for that guy to say, man, am I doing what I need to be doing to even exist in the same echelon as this woman that I say I want to be with?
And
level up life.
And I like what you said. Like, if you know within yourself, I doing boss moves, I'm doing great things, she's not my competition. If you're intimidated, like you said, then it's just a reflection of what's going on with you. But if you're not intimidated, it's just saying, I doing boss things, she doing boss things, we about to do boss things together. Let's go. Let's go.
Exactly.
So if you can't say that, then leave that woman alone, because I mean, you're gonna see it as competition, not as someone who can complement. And because what I see it as is, those are good skills that can help you to do whatever you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Someone who's just sitting down there waiting for like, oh, is the husband gonna reach, versus someone who's moving and doing stuff. All right, cool. This girl got skills. She got look at bed planning skills. She got things. We can use all these skills. She got a lot of skills we can use.
But see, the man is not going to receive those skills if he feels intimidated. He will look at those skills as a threat to him. You know, what if one day she wakes up and realizes that I don't have it together? Who's going to stop her from leaving, right?
So men struggle with insecurities. What are some of the insecurities they struggle with?
Yeah, man, we struggle with feeling if we're good enough. We struggle wondering if in the long run that we would still be that ideal version of a man that you want. Because while life changes, we're not aware that we need to change with life as well.
I've heard that before too on a podcast where they say men tend to take a while to get married because that's where they have the power.
Right.
But they feel like once I get married and you got what you wanted of being someone who's no longer single, that the power is gone. And so it goes back to what you're saying of, in the long term, will I still have this, or would it go once she gets what she wanted? And so they kind of hold off as long as they can, because that's where they're having the power.
It's a power struggle. And this, Corel, is why we need to embrace the gift of submission. And this is a trigger word nowadays, because the gift of submission allows the natural flow of power to move between man and woman. See, I don't possess full ultimate authority in my marriage. I am the head, yes.
Right.
But that does not mean that certain elements of this leadership does not pass on to my wife, and vice versa. But submission is what allows us to embrace that, hey, maybe my wife could do this better than me, without me being insecure about that.
Right.
If I'm in a power struggle, it's about, how can I prove to my wife that I could do this? Instead of admitting to my wife I can't do it, and then pooling our resources together. When you are in a power struggle, again, you're trying not to fail. And trying not to fail means that I am anxiously trying to be appropriate, trying to be correct, trying to be perfect. Those things lead us to go outside of the marriage to find solutions that we are going to bring back. But those things often send the incorrect message that I don't trust you. And so that is what creates disharmony in a lot of long-term relationships, because again, Karel, we are afraid to be vulnerable because we have not embraced submission. Submission isn't slavery. Submission is a gift between man and woman in which we allow the natural transfer of power to take place as a reflection of our strengths, not as an ego boost, not as a thing of pride.
And pride and ego kills relationships versus,
Always.
like you said, submission. And so if we learn to have that submission and that flow, that's good. They're saying, Harrison, it's good. It is. It's good. It's good. So recently I've heard people say that they've cracked the code. They've cracked the code to why these women are single. These say successful women are single. I think it's a lot of what you said tonight. But some things that people have been saying is that they haven't dealt with the previous pain or trauma. And they haven't learned how to be emotionally intelligent or vulnerable, and that this is keeping them for relationships. Basically, when they say, you know, why do you think you're ready for a relationship or what you bring to the table? They start listing their degrees. They start listing how much money they make. They start listing all the things that they own, but they're never talking about the work that they have done to heal from pain, to heal from trauma, to relate, to submit. Do you think that that's a part of cracking the code, that you're not dealing with, you're trying to say all of this prideful accolades, but you're not dealing with the emotion?
Yeah, it's like you think of a vest, right? And every accolade you achieve in life is like another badge on your vest. But at the end of the day, that vest still got to come off. You know what I mean? It's like you can be the most successful person in the world and be the most emotionally immature person at the same time. Because like we said earlier in conversation, we think that financial success or success in the world translate into emotional success or relationship success, and it just doesn't, right? We have to literally choose to be inconvenienced by taking that road less traveled and asking some very, very hard questions. You know what I mean? We get away with it in this country because we have pegged ultimate success as, you know, being financially successful or your public status. And so a lot of people get away with being immature and rude and even abusive and manipulative, thinking that it's okay because I'm a good lawyer, because I'm a good doctor, because my last name is Thompson, or my last name is Pinder. And it's like, no, these things are not authority for you to do and say what you want to do.
Right.
It should be an opportunity for you to actually utilize more uncommon resources to do some serious inner work so that you can become a whole person inside and out.
Got it. They got to do the work. They got to do the work. So we have two questions in the chat, and I'm going to get to your two questions now. If anybody else has a question in the chat for Harrison, you can put it in the question and answer now. Natural transfer of power. That's good. Someone said yes. And the natural power. See, we needed this. So doing the work, what would your advice and encouragement be to, this is my final question, to men and women who feel like I've done the work, but I still in these streets and I can't get out of these streets. I'm doing the work. I'm going to therapy. I don't know anybody else in the chat going to therapy. If not, you can see Harrison, not too much of y'all because I still need to be on the schedule. But I mean, I want some of you guys to just, you know, hit them up. Hit them up if you don't go. But what would your encouragement be to men and women who feel like I've done the work or I'm doing the work, but I'm still in these streets?
Yeah, you know, again, you can't allow yourself to get caught up in thinking about what you deserve, because that will lower your mental health. Okay. You think about what you deserve, you going back to the work you think you put in, you're going back to the sacrifices you made, and you sitting there with your hands out like this, like, I deserve this now. But in life, there's two people, those who think they deserve something and those who are able to learn what they need to learn to get where they need to go. And so if you were trying to manifest A and all you ended up manifesting was B, your actions manifested B. So often, Karel, we focus too much on our intentions and what we're intending and what we're hoping, but we don't even realize that sometimes we think we're doing is not really helping us get to where we want to go. You know, it's like in a relationship when you think your help is helping, but all it's doing is distracting. It's such an innocent thing. My little 2-year-old girl comes to the door every time I open it up and she wants to carry my bag. Her beautiful, innocent self wants to help daddy, but she ain't helping daddy. She just letting all kind of mosquito in. And then these mosquitoes can bite her in her leg. And then she can't sleep good. If I can't sleep good, then the wife mad because I'm mad. and then we in all kind of mess that we shouldn't be in, right? So it's like we have to recognize in our relationships and even within ourselves when I think we just have to get back to a better place of accountability and honesty so that we can begin asking the authentic questions that can actually get us the answers we are looking for instead of just putting us in environments to make us feel better about what we're doing.
Got it. Start asking the questions. I love it. Love it. So we're going to take these 2 questions and then we're going to tell people how they could connect with you. Okay. Sure. What if it were opposite, trying to get them to show down and comfortable when they think you're just being complacent? I don't know what she means. I know it probably was a question we were talking about earlier. What if it were opposite, trying to get them to show down and comfortable when they think you're just being complacent? If you could explain what you were saying in that question, send another one, and I will read the second one. Do you think the desire to work on the project, fellas, is the helpmate ability in us?
Yes, it is. It is totally the helpmate ability, but it is in the wrong environment. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's almost like the employee taking on the role of the manager, but not really getting the title and pay of a manager.
Talk about it. If you was friend, be friend.
Yeah, man. You got to be careful of that because you can be rewarded and congratulated for doing the work, but you will never get what you're deserving of because the truth is you were never really given that title. You know, it's like help can only be received when it's asked for. Anything else is you having to manage yourself until that day comes. You know, we learn that from the story of the prodigal son. The prodigal son teaches us 2 things. We learn how the father waited in love so that when the opportunity comes, he can learn to receive his son. Most Black families don't do that. Black families shut the door. So the minute you go out there and make a mistake, we say, see, yeah, that's good for you. Yeah, see, that's what your deeds get you. And it's like, when the opportunity comes now, there is no room for reconciliation and growth because we've shut that door. So the goal is to make sure that we allow ourselves to wait for that moment so that when it comes, we can actually help. Until then, hold on to that help.
You're not the help. I think people, you're trying to prove that you're the helpmate. This ain't gonna prove it. Like you say, you're doing the manager job. You ain't the manager. Thanks. But we still ain't paying you and you still don't got a title.
Exactly. You know?
Okay. So the person said, I think this was back to when we were talking about matching energy. She said that she, as the female, is being the 2, but he wants to be a 4 because he thinks I'm being complacent and that she doesn't want more in life when I'm just trying to help him slow down and enjoy the now. Okay. He wants me to be a 4. I think he wants her to encourage him more.
Right. He wants her to encourage her more.
Yeah, I'm being a 2, but he wants me to be a 4 because he thinks I'm being complacent and I don't want more in life. And I'm just trying to help him slow down and enjoy the now. Oh, good to see you, Laurent. Thanks so much for being here.
Okay. So she is trying to get him to see that there's beauty in this moment.
Right. He's trying to live in the now, and apparently the guy is not. He's trying to be a 4.
Yeah, and that's the problem. This is why we need to be successful in our own right. Because I think sometimes our own personal ambition takes over from what we should be contributing to the relationship. You know, this is why we have to use our singleness effectively and use this time to really make sure that we explore the fullness of our purpose, right? Because I don't need to be overly hungry to do things on my own when I got a wife now, when I got a child. Like, these are people who depend on me.
Right.
And if I have not achieved that in my own life before I got into that serious relationship, I would actually be doing her a disservice, right? It's like if I had to ask my wife now if I can go off to school, that's going to take significant change. Date nights are going to have to change. Schedules are going to have to change. That's significantly inconvenient. A lot of us don't have enough relationship equity to be going on these selfish individual pursuits in the first place. That's why I say you got to use your singleness to make sure you build your brand, build your life, start your business, get that done so that you don't think that every single moment and opportunity has to be built creating something brand new. You know what I mean?
Ooh. Oh, sorry. So somebody said something in the chat. They say, man, where you was when I needed a counselor before my divorce. That's good. That's good. All right. That's right. Harrison can help you out. Okay. This is the last one. Okay, yes, 9 o'clock. This last one. With the rising trend of men leaving the church, but still having a relationship with God, where does that leave relationships? Annie, if you could put that in the question and answer, that would be great.
Where does that leave relationships? With men now leaving the church, where does that leave?
But still, they still have a relationship with God. Where does that leave relationships?
Well, you got to go where the men go, right? I mean, I don't think it's the end of relationships, but I think it's just the end of how we're used to relationships kind of starting. Mm-hmm. It's like COVID-19 isn't the end of human and social interaction. It just changed it. And we have to be willing to embrace that change if we want to participate in this new environment, right? I think so many of us are so unaccustomed to change because, you know, when you're managing something, the thing you're managing has to remain the same. But when the thing you're managing changes, all of a sudden now you need different resources to do the same thing you used to do. So just because things are changing, you cannot allow the natural progress of life to threaten and intimidate you. You have to be willing to adapt with the times.
Yes. Well, the speaker we had on Monday, he made a good point when we were asking, because I mean, it's just real, like how you were saying, it's real. It's a very few men. So he was saying in the church that, you know, a lot of men are not just going to walk up off the street and walk into a service. So churches need to have the responsibility to do other activities that men will engage in, whether those are physical related activities, whether those are small group, whether something that men would be drawn to versus just keep trying to push the service and saying, oh, the numbers are so limited, making them to be in comfortable situations where they do experience relationship with God that may not be the service, and then eventually they may come back into.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think we're so linear with church. I think we pull everything back into the four walls when maybe we just need to try and figure out how we can interweave our faith into life.
Yes.
You know,
like
that
this?
Kind of way.
We talking Jesus?
Like this. I met my wife in Marina Village over Paradise Island with my
partner.
You
better talk about it.
Trying to find pizza. Okay? I was a Christian man and I was not in church at that particular point in time. You know, we got to remember that we are not just limited to church, that we are Christian people out here in the world. And you got to be out there in the world to encounter these people. If you're not afraid, if you're always afraid to take risks and put yourself in new situations, you remove yourself from seeing what is fully possible.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Last one. What would the speaker recommend for a woman that expels more masculine energy and wants to correct that in the right and regulate the feminine side that was neglected in the pursuit of success? Thank you, Annie.
So outside of maybe talking with someone professionally, I think what that person may want to do, surround themselves with women that embrace that in a non-judgmental kind of way. You know, I feel like there are certain women who we are so standoffish, like, oh, I don't want to be associated with her. She too out there, she do this, she do that. But maybe there's something that you can learn. Maybe there's a type of lesson inside that vulnerability that maybe wasn't in your environment growing up. Maybe that masculine energy was a result of always having to survive, always having to prove something, always kind of having to fend for yourself because the men in your life, or maybe even sometimes the women in your life, weren't there to protect you or weren't there to do certain things for you. And so if you can get to someone professionally, try to surround yourself with people that embody that. Don't be afraid to engage with people that are different from you so that you can get the lessons you need to get and so that you can have the experiences you need to have to get to a different place, you know?
Yeah, that's good. So good. I hope that was helpful. But yes, Harrison, please tell the people how they can connect with you. If you want to connect with Harrison, where they can find you, what you provide too. Growing up with a single mom, she taught us a lot of skills that a male usually does in the house, right? So, exercising that. So tell them how they can get with you. And what I want you guys to do in the chat, thank you so much. And we were up to like 50 tonight. Thank you guys. There's about 50 of you guys in here tonight. But what I wanted you to do before we go, while Harrison tells you where you can find him and what services he provides, is type in the chat what was a moment for you. I had a lot of light bulb moments, something that was a light bulb moment for you tonight. For me, Harrison, oh my gosh, there were so many. Obviously, all the time when you talk about femininity, but when you were talking about the success and not wanting to fail. And so you're trying so hard in that relationship because you don't want to seem to everyone that's a fail. And so I don't fall in the category where I work on a project. I fall in the category like, it ain't you.
Right.
It ain't you. Like I did for like 2 seconds. It ain't you. It's like 2 days. Not you. No, I gotta go. Gotta keep moving. You're gonna waste my time. And then living in the now, not
Right.
focusing, like, because when you focus on the future, you're trying to control the situation. That was a for me. So many gems. Those are two that coming to me right now. So tell the people where they can find you. And you guys put in the chat what was, like, that was me, that was for me. Go ahead.
So if you ever want to book a session, you can reach out to me in the office at Relationship Management. You can call 356-7983 or 4. That is the best, probably most efficient way. Unfortunately, now with so many clients that I have, I am not able to maybe book those things always individually. So yes, you can reach out to me on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, Harrison Thompson. My name will always pop up. But if you want that spot, if you want to make sure that that is reserved and available for you, the best and fastest way is to call me at the office. Again, that's 356-7983 or 4. The second best way, you can go to my website, harrisonhelps.com. You can go fill out a contact submission, and then the office will reach back out to you with information pertaining to something that you're interested in.
That's awesome. Check him out. Life-changing, I promise you. Okay, so some people said it was the now for me, staying in the now. Be responsible to someone and not for someone. Yeah, that was another one. That was a highlight. Yeah, to someone, not for someone. Big baby and the person, let them have that. Yeah, I think you said that too, about letting them state what their potential is and making sure that they say what their vision is and they're working towards it, because everybody has potential. Guys, hit up the Royal Access podcast. This is going to be one of the episodes, so you can always go back and listen. Trust me, even as the host, I will listen back to an episode and say like, wow, I missed that. So go back and listen to this when we put this up. We're also going to put it on YouTube. Yes, that's mine. I fall in between the nope, you ain't it, and the fixer up. Okay. Being religious versus being spiritually mature. I told you it was so much gems. That one right. When Harrison spoke about living in the present because the past is already gone and the future are things that we hope for. Yes. Don't try to be the manager when it's not your position. No man, you're an employee. So I'm trying to be the manager. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. We have 2 more nights. Don't miss. We got 2 more nights. I saw Tavares was in here tonight. I don't know if he's still out. It's still in there. Shout out to Tavares. Enrico was here today too. Hello. Say hello in the chat if you're still here. I don't know if you're still here. But thank you so much, Harrison. We were able to glean so much for you. Oh, the giveaway. The way. Okay, awesome. Good to see you, Tavares. Submission, the natural transfer of power between each other. Awesome. And Mikhail, I can bring your book tomorrow. I don't even have to ship it. I'm going to be in Nassau for a few hours. All right, so this is a giveaway. Tell me one thing that I described of Harrison's self. 5 interesting things about Harrison. Tell me one thing. Guys can win too. This book is for a guy. He didn't say he was a nerd. I said he was a nerd. So say, come in for my plate. I know, right, Tavares? I got to bring you some food tomorrow.
You like flying.
I think I don't know what it is. For Nanshay, Love Science. You were first. Anime is correct, Ashley, but the whole name isn't coming up. The Gym Assist Therapy, all of you guys are correct. You were listening to him. Awesome. So I think that was for now. Send me a message on the Royal Access. He doesn't like show us fluidity. Correct. Send me a message on the Royal Access. You can get May I Call You Queen book. Like I said, on Friday, we're giving away a free spot into the course, and that's $500 worth of a prize. So be here on Friday for our last night. But thank you so much, Harrison. Thank you guys, everybody, for being here. I hope you enjoyed this topic. I definitely did, and I learned a lot. Make sure to hit up Harrison. Tell him one more time the website and phone number.
Yeah, so the website is harrisonhelps.com. You can fill out the contact form submission. Office will reach out to you, or you can dial the office directly at 356-7983 or 4. It may be the least efficient one, but still an option. You can reach out to me on social media, on Instagram, HT4Real, Facebook, Harrison Thompson, Twitter, Harrison Thompson, wherever you go, I'm there.
Awesome. The YouTube video is going to be on Corel Pinder, and the Royal Access podcast is on anywhere you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. That's where you can find the recording of this session. Oh, I'm so glad you guys enjoyed it. Thanks so much. Awesome, Harrison. That was great.